He's the man to do the damage. Oh! As he looks for another headshot!
I'm going to do Rostermania for CSGO because it's been mania. I've seen crazy shit going on, and I'm going to talk about all the signs because we're back to the events in like 10 days. Like Blaster's coming. Jackie called me up while I was out in the States. He said, listen, do you want to do some of the RMRs? Want to watch some of the RMRs, do a bit of an NMC style vibe? I went, yeah. Even if I am quitting, whatever. Excuse to sit around and drink cold beers in the afternoon and watch some CS and shoot the shit with my friends. And then, also, never thought I would do this. Those of you who know, there's a super secret real-life Discord meetup. And for those who are going to the super secret real-life Discord meetup, Jackie's going to come along to the real-life super secret Discord meetup. So there you go. I'm even bringing celebrities. I'm enhancing all your lives. Anyway, Rostermania. It's here, it's upon us. The silly season in CSGO where everybody tries to make better rosters in the player break only to fuck it up, lose it all, leave the scene in turmoil, and Na'Vi or FaZe win everything. So, I want to start by talking about G2. I've got a lot of thoughts about this. So, for those who don't know, this is what happened in G2. I'm going to try and give you some sort of rough chronology about G2. And that is, they said ahead of the player break, Jax, there he is, 30 years old now, bless him. I know what it's like to be old. He's allowed to explore his options. And I think he's just signed for Heat, the French team. Maybe we'll talk about them a little bit down the road. And Alexi B. The Alexi B project, who saw this coming? An IGL with a strong vision for the team and a successful past, being in this team, in this lineup, and not being given time to stamp his authority on it. And also, by his own coach that was brought in, X-tatic, as you remember, if you followed our coverage, from the last major. One of the things we found, there were French interviews where X-tatic was like saying, listen, we're nowhere near where we should be. Alexi B's T-sides, they're not that great. And, we've got these problems and we don't see the game the same way. It was just a very fucking strange setup, It's like, for me, there was a clear solution to this issue. But instead, you created problems within G2. Now, let's start by talking about Jax. Yeah, fair enough. I said when they picked him up, if you remember famously on By the Numbers, Jax is 27. No one suddenly gets good at 27. And then Jax was really good for a while. But unfortunately, he's not a very dynamic player. He's a very one-dimensional player. His value at the org, at the team, honestly speaking, seemed to be what he does off the server. That he was like a big brother to Munacy. He was a really nice guy. But unfortunately, increasingly, there was little upside to having him actually on the server. So I don't hate the Jax move. I don't hate Jax going out at all. It's fine for me that Jax goes because he had a good run with G2. It's his career peak. It is what it is. Also, Alexi B going out. I wouldn't have done this if it was my team. I think Alexi B going out, especially when you look at the replacements they've gone for, what this says to me is that G2 doesn't really have a clear idea or a clear clue about where they are going and what they want to do. And that makes me very worried because the one thing you can usually say about G2 teams is that Carlos knows what he wants to do. Carlos is going to get that. He'll just spend the money and get the players. And he's got a clear vision. And he knows how to improve his teams. And he knows what players he wants. And he listens to his players about what players they want to play with. And if it's a big check, he doesn't give a fuck. This is desperation. They've cut Alexi B loose before he really had a chance to stamp on it. They had a run of second places. You can even argue, by the way, that G2 getting second place at tournaments at the times that they did, it's not all that bad because they aren't a FaZe yet and they aren't an RV. and maybe never will be. They needed a lot of time to find some sort of way of picking all of the good aspects of X-tatic's tactical philosophies and all of the execution of HooXi and IGL, throwing it all together and making it work with this roster. And they've just not done that. And to me, it's premature. And then, this is how I know it's premature, because we'll get talking about their replacements. But let's just start with this. Guys, this will be controversial, all right? Because I'm the only motherfucker that actually will tell it like it fucking is with this shit. And especially now, because I don't even have a podcast for you to rage at anymore. It makes me so sad to see G2 become a fucking Reddit meme team. I said it on By the Numbers towards the end, and I'll repeat it. I have never seen such a mediocre player be this overrated since the days of Shroud, right? It is ridiculous, the Reddit love affair with JKS. It is absolutely insane. Let me tell you what the average Redditor believes about JKS. JKS was a top 20 player in the world back when he played on an Australian lineup. Then he went to Complexity, but by the time he joined Complexity were already a bad dysfunctional team. And then evil Blame F fucked JKS over by taking all of his positions. So you can't count his performance in Complexity, even though he was one of the highest paid players in the world at that time. But then Carrigan, to use Thorin's phrase, like Jesus reaching down to a leper, lifted him out of the Complexity doldrums and put him into FaZe, where he was the best player and the MVP and instrumental in them winning Katowice. That is the Reddit narrative about JKS. That narrative is fucking patently absurd. Patently absurd. Let's just go into some facts, right? Because I like facts. Facts are good. If you look at facts, you can often cut through narrative bullshit, right? So let's just look here. The last time JKS was in the top 20, and a big part of this absolutely fucking ludicrous narrative about him being some, like, put-upon player rather than just a guy who actually didn't live up to his peak or couldn't maintain his peak when he was outside of a certain lineup, was that in 2020, he was an HLTV top 20 player. Here he is, arms folded. There's his personal stats. Number 19, top 20 players of 2020 JKS. Now, let me just tell you, this is one of the absolute most stupid, weakest top 20s. It is where you can always say, sometimes statistics just don't tell the full story. Because remember, what happened in 2020, guys? Does anyone remember? Does anybody remember? It was the coof. It was the year of the coof, wasn't it? So what did we all do? Who was going to LAN, right? And if you were going to LAN, who are you playing against? You were either at LAN playing against local teams, or you were online often playing against local teams. This entire year's a fucking write-off. He got to stat pad by basically the benefit of the coof. And you can see here, yeah, look. Oh, wow, look at all these super massive events that he played at, right? Look, oh, brilliant. So this top 20 is absolute garbage. And there was a number of NA players that got onto the 2020 list that basically just, people based in NA, that had the benefit of the fact it was fucking COVID crazy at the time. So no, he wasn't a top 20 player in 2020. No, he fucking wasn't. But like, only by the stupid statistical metrics that you had to cobble together to try and make sense of a scene that was all about LAN for 10 years and beyond, and now suddenly had to be about online and region locking for 1 year all over again. Nonsense. The 2020 top 20 is you can largely ignore it. I'll also just add what gets left out of the narrative. when he joined Complexity, it was already a dysfunctional team. Right, okay, well, let's assess that. JKS joined Complexity, and I'll get the exact date for you. He joined Complexity on the 23rd of October, 2020. They got him from 100 Thieves, right? Oh, so yeah, by the way, keep in mind, also I have to add that onto the top 20. That was when he was playing in 100 Thieves, when, yeah, he was still good. But again, think about region locking, NA, you know, they were locked in NA, the 100 Thieves players, clearly better than a lot of the NA players, in a time when it was like up and down, and they had that ridiculous peak because they just knew they were getting kicked, and they just fucking balled out of control. So anyway, he joined at the end of the year, right? So when he joined on October 23rd, if you look at the Complexity roster, they had literally just made changes where they kicked Obo out. So he still got to play with the premium, essentially, Complexity lineup. It wasn't dysfunctional. It was just that Obo had fucked off and ran away. So not like people don't remember. Let's look at what he did when he first joined Complexity, right? Complexity became dysfunctional because they signed a massive player with massive reputation, right? And he massively underperformed. People forget. Go watch the clips where JKS is playing like terribly, and people are like having to sort of play it down and going, "Oh, he's really struggling at the moment." And then he had that one when he got here and he got to the blast. So this is where Sponge tweeted about how good he was, right? But let's look at what he did, right? So he gets into Complexity, Blast 4 series, it's all right. IEM Beijing Haidian 2020 Europe. This complete nonsensical fucking, you know, it's online, it's China, but it's Europe IEM. Brilliant. 1.11. Blast Premier Showdown. Yeah, it's high, but maybe not as high as it should be. And then when we get to these big events, DreamHack Masters Winter 0.88. IEM Global Challenge 2020, 0.96. Blast Premier Global Final 2020, 0.82. And then the absolute rock bottom of his fucking career, see that terrible performance of CS Summit, where he was one of the worst players at the event, if not the worst, 0.77. Don't you think your star player, your big name coming into your team, and doing that is going to maybe demoralize people a little bit? Don't you think that's maybe going to make your IGL start thinking, he can't get it done, maybe I should take the positions off him? So no, to ignore his time in Complexity is just outrageous fanboying. Now here's what I will say. You can make an argument that he wasn't all that good in the Katowice event, which I totally get, right? Because if you go look at the Katowice stats, actually, he's not that good in terms of overall on the list. But if you want to go and look at it, he is the third highest CT. So it goes like simple, blame F, JKS. So, and this is what we know about JKS. His strengths are on the CT side. He's not very dynamic when he's on the T side. He's very good at the CT side. And so, yes, he is an upgrade for Jax. But people saying that signing JKS is like some sort of blockbuster move. I also saw people on Reddit. What was it they said? They said, oh yeah, I'm super happy he gets a paycheck. Why? Why are you happy? One of the highest paid players in the world at Complexity, who, by the way, he's been getting a paycheck not to play this entire time. He's not starving. What are you talking about? Why are you happy? Like, I can't think of another player Reddit would actually, like, forgive for making as much money as he did and being as bad as he was and achieving as little as he did and then sitting on the bench for as long as he did. No way. But it's JKF. I love him. His surname is Savage. He is a savage. It's absolutely ridiculous. So, listen, The move, like for like, it's very, very good. JKS being in G2, if they have secret, like actual real title aspirations, tell you what, I'll be here when he's fucking mediocre. Come and talk to me, right? And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, right? But come and, like I say, a year from now, when he's going to another team, right? Remember your boy, because I'm not fucking fooled. Then, they're kicking out Alexi B. Alexi B is like, you know, he's a proven IGL. Yeah, things at OG weren't great. They had a couple of decent finishes. You know, they had a couple of podium finishes. But, you know, yeah, they were a bit underwhelming. Fair enough. OG don't have a lot of money to spend, but he is also the guy who took ENCE to a major final. ENCE were a legit team. I know they were meta abusers, because that was when the Krieg and the Org were out of control. But still, your finishes are your finishes, and the meta will always change and shift. And that's just how it is. Let's not pretend Fnatic weren't CZ abusers and then Tech9 abusers. Abuse the meta. Abuse it better than your opponents. Win the trophies. Cement your legacy. But they've kicked Alexi B out. And I'm like, right, well, they must have some super sick IGL lined up. They must. According to Nell, who took some time out of his busy schedule looking for secret Zs in player names, reported that HooXi, the former Copenhagen Flames guy, is going to join G2 on a permanent basis. Are there any G2 fans in the chat? I'll wait. Is there... Okay, oh, yep, I see. Okay, good. We've actually got a lot of G2 fans. Is there a single G2 fan who is happy about this move? Just one. No one's liking this. And with good fucking reason. So first of all, Copenhagen Flames, like, well done. You punched above your weight. You know, have done okay at 2 majors in a state of flux when we've just come out of the online era. I'm not that impressed. I hate to break it to you. Also, the Nico problem rears its head, right? Because Nico has to respect and like the IGL. Notoriously, he says he doesn't. But we all know he does. We all know he's a star player. We all know as long as you're in fucking G2, you better do what Nico likes, or you fucking, you know, you're out, right? We know. We all know. How is a guy of HooXi's pedigree going to turn to Nico and go, you fucked that up? You think he's going to take it? You think he's going to take that? And then you go, oh, but yeah, well, at least he'll be better than Alexi B. Alexi B's stats weren't that impressive. Oh, no. Oh, no. If only. Look at this. Look at this. He's I'm doing the law of Jacks again. He's 27. He's done nothing his entire career. Copenhagen Flames is the peak. It's about Nicodos. It's about other players on that roster. It ain't about you. And then, again, the crucial stat here is, against top 5 opposition, 0.77. Trending downwards massively in his career as the opponents get harder and the level goes up. 27? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? How is this the new visionary leader for G2? How? Absolutely how? I can't. Again, it's sad to see a team like G2 essentially being driven by Reddit. This move is a joke. And I'll add to it as well, right? If you're gonna get a fucking Danish IGL with really bad statistics, right? Why don't... And I'm just gonna show you, compare and contrast here, right? You're gonna laugh. Because he's just been announced in a new team. So, keep HooXi's stats burnt into your brain and remember his age, right? So why is it not this guy? Why is it not this guy? Like, at least he's won tournaments. At least he's got pedigree. At least he's got reputation. At least he might actually be able to command some respect from Nico or whatever. And yeah, he's finally bit the bullet and shaved his head. Good on you. Should have done that a while ago. Walking around looking like fucking Greg Rosetsky. Right? His stats are better. His stats are inarguably better. His pedigree is better. He's the same age. His stats don't even appreciably move whether he's playing top 5 or fucking shitters. He's the same. It makes no sense to sign HooXi to G2. So, in the great Rostermania scores, I'm giving it 2 thumbs fucking down. And the nerf this Overwatch fart noise. That's what I'm giving it. G2 are going to do fuck all with that roster. The end. Waste of everyone's time. Waste of everyone's money. Pissing in the eyes of the fans. Nonsense. Absolute garbage. Reddit garbage. Oh, I was going to talk about my fix for G2. Yeah, I nearly fucked it. I nearly forgot. Here's the fix. Instead of getting HooXi, why don't you bring Apex back? Right, hear me out. Worked with X-tatic. Clearly has a good relationship. Clearly knows G2. Respected IGL. Entry fragger. It literally fixes everything HooXi doesn't. So why they don't just go to Vitality and just be like, you know, we want to get Apex. And here's the thing. Vitality's not going to fucking work. I'm calling that now. Like, eventually Magisk will end up being the IGL. That's going to happen. And Apex is going to have missed out on this. That's what they should have done. HooXi, that's an embarrassment for G2. This was not, I guess it's kind of fucking Rostermania because its coach is leaving. You know, I don't know. The Brazilian scene, it boggles my mind. Like, so, right, let me get this straight. Okay. Peacemaker gets banned by ENCE before Imperial go to the major, takes legal action, gets the ban overturned, Imperial complaining the entire time about how their super important and beloved coach wasn't with them at the major and wasn't with them at all the thing. Now they've cut him. They cut Peacemaker. He's gone. I don't get it. What was the fucking point? So I don't even know. I don't understand. Like, what, you couldn't give it a little bit longer? Also, by the way, how many people are going to have to fall on swords for these check-stealing fuckers? Like, I know they've cut effort. I guess we'll probably end up talking about that in a bit. But, like, the Imperial just blow my mind. Because it's like, hey, guys, it's a last dance, and we're just doing it for the fun and the love, and all the bros are back together. And, ha, look, we punched above our weight in the major, isn't it great? Ha, take that, Thorin. Then you do absolutely fuck all at every other tournament you're at. And then do you go, well, it was the last dance. We had a good time. We're all going to retire now. Peace. Or, listen, we're going to limp on until Rio. And we'll see you at Rio. And then after Rio, we're 100% out. Love you, though. No, you start chopping players up again. Why? Is it a fucking last dance? This last dance has been going on forever. It's like literally one of those dance contests where you have to keep going until you fucking drop and the last person standing gets like $50 and a fucking banana cream pie. I don't know. It's fucking stupid. Like, the last dance is just fucking outrageous. Like, you can't keep chopping and changing the players. You never even had the last dance to begin with. It was never you and Cold. It had to be you and Cold. Oh, my God. So anyway, I don't know why they cut Peacemaker. I don't get it. Peacemaker wasn't doing anything wrong. So whatever. Then, oh God, is it happening already? Oh, I feel sick. I feel sick. All right, okay, we have to get into this. I don't even know how we're going to cover it all. So, oh God, I feel ill. I feel ill having to talk about this. E.g. When does this fucking stop? When does this fucking stop? When does this nonsense end? Evil fucking geniuses, please, please. We're about to go into a recession. The money you are wasting could be used to save lives and go on social programs. Stop! You cannot run a CS team. End it. Please, please, please stop this. I don't understand what you are trying to do. You have literally pissed millions up against the wall for this. So we'll get to the Stewie stuff. Stewie's gone. He's out. Mallet comes back. They brought in Valence as well. They're all meant to be knowing what they're doing, right? And this is going to be moving forward the Evil Geniuses roster, is it? Right. Okay, let's try. The problems with Evil Geniuses were that you had a really dysfunctional IGL who had picked a team of sort of yes men and cronies to placate his own ego, and then became more interested in grinding Valorant than actually grinding demos and coming up with tactics and everything, because like most American players in esports, when they hit a tough spot in their career, they're always saying, you know, you've got over here, like, work hard, get good, get back on the horse, win things. Ooh, a new game? Like that meme. Oh, ooh. They always get distracted. Oh, streaming? You mean less work, more money? Ooh. Most of them never really had a competitive drive. And they'll tell you to your face, oh, all I ever want, I'll do anything to win. I'm a fierce competitor. Right. You only get to prove you'll do anything to win when you're not winning. You know what I mean? Like when you change things so you can win. If you just don't ever win again, you were just shit. You were just washed. That's all it was. So you had a dysfunctional IGL, and you needed a tactical mastermind to come in. You had Cirque and Breezy. Spoiler, it's going to be a race between who leaves this team next, Breezy or Automatic. Automatic's not going to stick around without his boy. Why would he? Automatic came from Valorant, which is where Stewie's like flirtatiously trying to get to. So Automatic's gone. You got rid of Rush. Don't know what Rush did, right? You've still got Cirque and Breezy, massively underwhelming. Two big reputations. I'll say this about Cirque. At least he's trying. At least he's grinding. At least you can see it hurts him when EG lose. Let him go, like. Let my people go, like. Let him go. Let him go he needs to be in a European team. It's the only way he's going to save his career. So then you say, I know, we're Evil Geniuses and we're a big brand. Let's bring in Masuta. Now listen, he's no Kyojin. And he was doing all right towards the end of his time in Vitality. But, I mean, I don't think he's that good. Like, I'm going to be real with you. He's young. Maybe he can get good. But whatever. And then, you know what? Everyone was hyping up this move, saying Nilan was cracked. He's a beast. Wait till you see him, blah, blah, blah. He has been playing at a greatly reduced level compared to the other players on this, on this list. So, I don't know. I don't hate it in terms of, like, if you take one of these guys and say we're going to develop them and we think we can take them to the next level with, Valens, like Megamind, with the machines, and Malek actually now maybe might get some respect and people might listen to him. Yeah, that's great. But dude, like, are you fucking for real? Like that lineup's just an abomination. It's mental. Not to mention, you signed all them other players, didn't you? You signed, like, what was it, like Clasia and Hex and all those lineups, and they've all been leaving. They've all been just fucking off. Bit by bit, piece by piece. The magic of the EG project, all gone. Let me just show you, just back that up. Look, Clasia, who I actually saw play, I actually commentated on one of his games in the NARMR I did. He doesn't look all that bad. And I saw on Reddit, everyone's going, oh yeah, but he's toxic. That's his problem. How would anyone notice an Evil Geniuses? So, they've gone with him. Then, Stan, rumoured to be coming back. All right. Brilliant. Get the guy that literally started the problem. Bring him back. Listen, my children my children actually, they don't like clowns and they're super nervous about being abducted. So I thought for the birthday party, we'll hire John Wayne Gacy. Perfect. Nailed it. What the fuck is that? Why would you look back in this way? Like, I don't understand. Don't understand. And then obviously, yes, Hexed. turned out to be the guy that got bumped up, and the Masuta report wasn't accurate, and now Hexed, again, a 20-year-old guy with like no real experience or tenure, that's going to be the guy in Evil Geniuses in their main line. What if this org's a mess? It's just a mess. It just makes me sick. Makes me fucking sick to my stomach to see all this money just wasted. Just a waste of everyone's time and effort. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to do anything. Here was the official announcement for Hexed. Again, saw everyone on Reddit. Yeah, good for you, Hexed. You're gonna really be amazing. And yeah, and apparently the reason they had to do it this way is they realized that if they had 3 Europeans, they were gonna have to change what fucking region they did all the qualifiers and RMRs in. So they had to pull out another North American player. It's just shocking. Like, for someone like me that was around in the old days, the very old days now, and you remember Evil Geniuses, and you remember the brand, and you remember the excellent, you remember the iconic players, not just in CS, but in all their games, and you remember the standards they used to set themselves back in the, Scoots and Alex Garfield era of fucking Evil Geniuses. To see it like this is just sad. It's just sad and fucking pathetic. The one thing you will always say about the old Evil Geniuses was, if they didn't fucking win, they would at least hire characters. They would at least hire people that would entertain you, that had something to say, that could do content. They knew it was a trade-off. That's how you had guys like, in Control. Rest in peace to my homie Idra. You had fucking obviously Stefano there. That was just the StarCraft division. They had fucking absolute sick motherfuckers in the old school CS division. They brought HooXi. They knew. And again, I'm missing out loads of all the other games that they did well in, and the type of people. Nothing obviously repping them. Jordan. They knew, right? And it's like EG stood for something. It stood for something. They had an idea about where they were going. This is pathetic. It's pathetic. It's a shock to I feel sorry to all the old school managers, because you always still feel attached to something. I remember talking about it with Hex after he sold Optic, and he was watching Optic make all them bad decisions, and Optic India with the fucking Forsaken fucking scandal and all this stuff, and he was said, even though it wasn't my org anymore, and I had a stack like you wouldn't believe in the bank, so my kids would probably never have to work again. It made me feel like sad and depressed to see what they were doing to my first fucking child, Optic Gaming, and anyone who's ever built an org feels that way about their org. And EG, you're just like, it's ridiculous. Somebody's got to do something. And then, right at the fucking head of it all, I don't think I've ever seen a more sort of flagrant lack of adult management than just the outrageousness, as it relates to Stewie 2K. Now, spoiler, while I was away, and again, this is how woo-sar I am now. I'm not going to get involved with it. But for the purposes of this, because it will be a YouTube video, and everyone really liked the Stewie 2K videos, spoiler, except Stewie 2K and to a lesser extent Freakazoid. This morning I actually reached out to Freak and said, hey, let's do the podcast then. Go on, let's do it. You and me, Frost Nixon, a meeting of minds. Let's fucking talk about what's going wrong in NA and why you're defending this type of behavior, from Stewie. So we'll probably get that done at some point. So this saga, it was so obvious what he was gonna do, and what I don't understand is that you're going to just allow him to continue to represent your brand. That's what we're doing, is it? So, again, let's be clear. Stewie 2K, right, has failed with the team he built, which he promised you to do. He then failed to build a relationship with the coach, forced the organisation into it's a him or me with the coach. The coach went because they wouldn't get rid of Stewie, and he couldn't impose anything without him. You were literally doing the coach's job at one point. You then were spending your time not competing. They had to sign two teams to meet their contractual obligations to the other franchise leagues we're in because you guys didn't even want to play Mr. I'll do anything to win. You then spent your time grinding Valorant blatantly, didn't even have the decency. You know them Valorant trackers? You can make them private. But he deliberately left it on. He wanted to show people he was grinding because he hoped he was going to get an offer. By the way, there was a thing that happened in Valorant where he got announced for another organization, right? And they used Evil Genius's branding and Evil Genius's sponsors in the announcement. And Stewie2K was replying to it going, yeah, lol, see you there, playing along with it. I can't tell you how fucking unprofessional that is. Just in case you want to see it, someone will have a screenshot of the deleted tweet. This is just what a fucking clown show esports is, by the way. So understand, ENCE are an org, right? And they have used Stewie2K, who is under contract at a rival org. They've done a fake announcement and they've put rival sponsors to EG sponsors and EG's player in their fake announcement and just left it up, and it's got all of this engagement and everyone's seen it, and then they deleted it and went, oh, just to let you know, that was a joke for legal reasons. And everyone in Valorant, by the way, an esports scene run by these clown North American orgs that are just influencer focused and clout chasing and don't want to build anything professional, just want to milk it for all it's worth, milk it for the money, and then hope they can parlay it into being favoured by Riot and getting into them fucking sweet pseudo franchise slots. Nothing is professional there. They're all good. Hey man, what's the drama? If this was real sports, I want you to just process this. Imagine you're like, I don't know, fucking Arsenal, and your social media guy, for a joke, announces Harry Kane joining you from Tottenham. And you've got all Arsenal sponsors, totally different sponsors to Tottenham, and everyone's going mental about it. Everyone's going bananas, like, oh my God, look at this, look at this. That's a fucking lawsuit that just lasts for years. But it's esports, so it doesn't matter. And Stewie was playing along with it. He couldn't even be professional enough to fucking ignore it. And they're letting him stay on as part of the content creation team, when realistically he should have been kicked out the org. Now, as I was saying, while I was away, somebody said to me, oh, Rich, Stewie was talking about you on stream the other day. And I'm like, yeah, he probably was. It's fine, no big deal. Nobody said that you don't get hired because you attacked Loader and no one has any respect for you because you attacked Loader. And so he shouldn't criticize players' temperament or mentality because you slammed baby Loader through a table. Now, I don't know if he actually said any of this shit because like I'm going to watch his streams. It's just him getting carried by Brax anyway, right? At the end of the day, like, you know, it's sad. The whole thing's fucking sad. It's just sad that it's like this. And this guy's still taking a paycheck from the org that he's, like, fucking massively disrespected for all this time. So, yes, all of the videos about Stewie leaving that I did, all 3 of them or whatever it was, yeah, it was absolutely true. He was 100% out. He was 100% checked out on CS. He even did the whole thing. Look at this. I'm hyped to announce I'll be streaming Val and CS. He hasn't streamed any CS yet. For the Creative Collective, I'll be stepping away from competitive CS and focusing on streaming. Thanks to those who tagged along and to many more. My future isn't determined, so stop by tonight's stream. And your future is pretty determined, mate, because you're not going to be coming back to CS. You're not going to... It's over for you. And, again, as things stand... Although, you know, they're bringing Shroud back from the fucking dead and pretending he's playing well over in Valorant. Like, you know, he's actually the best still. He's the GOAT of FPS. So, I mean, anything's possible. Like, maybe you will have a career in fucking Stewie. In Valorant, sorry. Stewie. So, EG's a mess. We know that. Next. This finally happened. Right again on this one. Complexity... Bench Junior. Oh, thank God it's over. It's over! Woo! It's like I couldn't handle it. Like having to watch this guy play, like it was so fucking bad. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a good kid. So obviously it wasn't like one of those things where you relish in it and you go like, fucking look at that guy playing bad. You're just like, oh, make it stop. Like for fuck's sake, when will the madness end? And you know the guy was like fucking, you know, really trying. Bless him. But man, there was just some of the worst. Hang on, let me see if I can just find. There was one clip that it was the ended. This is where it all ended for Junior. So this was too much.
It's like Astralis still want to commit down to B though.
Junior has stayed in the exact position, but he's gone in towards the vents now, and he's going to hear all the steps, and they haven't detected Junior, which means he feels like he can activate him behind him. Oh, Junior, no, not like this! Oh!
Even the caster, like, there are no words, right? There's just no words. There's just no words for it. Now, listen, he's an AWPer, right? So, you know, that happens when you pick up a rifle, you know? It can happen to anybody. It's like, oh, it's a strange gun. Oh. But like, I don't know if people remember when they were playing against Cloud9 and Complexity gave them like a really good go on the precipice of winning 16-14, if you remember, right? And it was looking good. And then this little play happened.
And put into the advantageous position. Although Cloud9 is
here he is, going for the flash, going for the bunny hop to get up arch, and gone.
Hops around the corner, right to his death. That looks a little bit silly, and that kill has gone the way of Cloud9. You cannot afford to give away kills like that to a team of Cloud9's caliber. Now puts pressure, more pressure on the hands of Fine to try and step up, and he can't get a kill. It's starting to crumble here for Complexity.
It certainly is.
Visions of Inferno victories have just gone up in fire. It is now JT and Floppy to try and pull off the 2v3, and it has to be a retake versus the Cloud9 threesome.
They lose that round, and all he had to do was sort of stay put, and they win that round. You know, he could have doubled up in pit. There's like loads of stuff they could have done. It was absolutely no need to make a ridiculous info play. The flashbang didn't even work. So I have seen him make some staggeringly bad plays. I've said consistently, unfortunately, he's one of those players who he will go down to tier 2 and he will smurf, but then he will come to tier 1 and he will never make the grade. It's never going to happen for him. He's just not going to be good enough. He's got learning issues in terms of like learning things like flashes, learning things like timing. He's not that great an aimer when it comes up to like the very tier 1. You only have a split second to hit the shot. He doesn't hit. He's not consistent. There's no reason to ever sort of think this guy was going to be a tier 1 player. He should never have took the Furia gig. I understand why he did. It's all been downhill since then, and he's out. And listen, just to add to that, actually, this has to stop. Like, he never helped himself. Like, bro, let me give a bit of advice. Shall I go big head? I'll go big head for the advice. If you're a struggling player, stop talking to the media. It's not helping. They're not your friends. You know, the only thing you can ever do is say the wrong thing. That's the only thing you can ever do is say the wrong thing. And so obviously, Junior's like a nice guy, and he goes, yes, I would love to talk to you. Right? Apart from the fact he declared Complexity the best NA team. Womp womp. What is this? Why would you say this quote? Why would you use this combination of words? Junior on his playstyle. Literally on the 4th of July, Independence Day. Come on. I'll go out and have a barbecue. Don't talk to the media. The way I'm AWPing on this team is how I think more snipers should be playing with the AWP. Maybe. But the difference is when they do it, they get kills. So, you know, it's so dumb. So anyway, Complexity finally bit the bullet, finally dropped him. Fair dues. It had to happen. And it was really weird, actually. Lots of people were going like, oh, who's going to be the replacement? And then HooXi was announced, and people went, well, I suppose it's an upgrade for Junior. I'm going to say this. I don't think you realise how good a player you got in HooXi. Yes, he might look like a sort of like 80s American movie, like the comedic relief in it with his long hair and his mustache and his lovely little chubby cheeks. But let me tell you, it wasn't his fault, by the way, that this guy was having to fucking, you know, play at the level he was playing with and play in the Dignitas retirement home and all of that stuff. I can't express it enough. He's a massive upgrade to Junior. Like, it is day and night. And I will tell you that all of the pressure that's on this team... Now, listen, you still need to cut JT. Spoiler. But whatever. All the pressure that is on this team, from in this meta especially, not having a consistent AWPer, it's all that goes away now. You can play with a little bit of confidence. You know your boy's going to hit the shots and make the calls and make the comms and not do something inexplicable. Yeah, you've got to get rid of JT the IGL. Sorry, I said it at the start. They're not doing anything that I think is good. I've never really rated him. I know Extra Salt were doing okay and all that, but he had some great pieces around him and they were playing at a reduced level to what the expectation for complexity is. So for me, they need another IGL, someone that can get, or someone with experience and quality that can get these young players with so much potential and actually deliver on the promise of the project. The promise of the project was we're picking up young, raw talent and we're going to develop them. The problem was complexity did that and then you've got no one to develop them. So, sorry, that's stupid. So, HooXi is a massive upgrade. It is a massive upgrade. It is like one of those ones where it's like, it's not even like one rung on the ladder, it's like two. And I don't think the fans realise that, because I don't think people have seen a lot of HooXi, right? And they've certainly seen a lot of Junior. So the tempered expectations are really strange for me. I think this is a really, really good pickup. They'll have done it on a budget. It'll fit in with their plans. HooXi's still learning, still developing. He looks old, but he's not. Look, he's only 22. I know he looks like he looks like my uncle, but yeah, he's still young, still developed. I like this move. This gets on the the whole EG project. You can put this in if you want, Griff, later. Like again, nerf this fart noise, but this gets 2 thumbs up. I really, really like this move. Well done, complexity. This is kind of the antithesis of what Rostermania is about. There was a lot of speculation. Ooh, will Tabson go to an international lineup? Ooh, what if God B were to fill one of them coaching roles that are going? And in the end, they were tweeting out and teasing it and saying, oh, expect the unexpected or expect the expected or whatever. But Tabson and God B decided to stay on big. And, you know, listen, it's one of those. It's like, I am a purist about CS. I still love the game as much as I hate esports. I love watching the contests. I love watching the competitions. Even though, you know, this meta, you know, it's a little bit boring compared to some of the other ones. But whatever, it's fine. Here's the reality. I wanted to see Tabson at least try it. But unfortunately, we're now like at the stage. We're at the tail end of his career. It's clear he's never going to leave, never going to join an international lineup, and you'll just have one of those like theory crafting, like, you know, if we do another equivalent of like Time Travel LAN or a show like that, Tabson could have played at the highest level but never did, and it's just one of those things. But you know, I love God B signing. I love Tabson. I think he's a really, really good player, and actually a really underrated IGL. I think big are let down by the fact that they're an old German lineup and they don't have a lot of parts to play with. And I know Maui Snake's really big on him, but the Faven, or Faven, however you say it, move hasn't really delivered for me. You know, like, yeah, Crimbos, but they're just big. And big are going to turn up to a tournament, and big are going to beat the favourites and then get knocked out by the lowest seed. That's big. That's the life of big. They are the ultimate coin toss team, and that's just never going to change. Probably not in my lifetime, he said. So there's that. What do I think of this move? It gets a neutral shaky hand and a strange groaning noise, like a crypt being opened. Oh yes, here's one. MIBR, they did a move, you know, it's a good one. Theoretically, they're apparently looking to get Henny because Cello is going to be going over to Imperial. which is a done deal. I look at the lineup, and MIBR for me, they were like an organization that was like, a team rather, that was in like a bit of a weird spot. They had like the Wood 7 guy, or Woody, some people pronounce it as, whatever. He was like their IGL and AWPer, and he had a bit of a nightmare at the major. After on day one, I cursed him, of course. I said, like, oh, keep an eye out for him. He's he's like a guy that is capable of making big plays. And remember, he's the IGL as well. And of course, he played absolutely dog shit the entire time. But the reality is, they needed to replace that piece. They've done it, I think, with Henny. The problem, of course, is that now means Lucas is going to turn up, isn't he? Those two guys aren't going to play apart for too long. It's just the inevitable cycle. Like it's like Thanos. You can dread it, you can try and avoid it, but it's always going to get you. Like Final Destination. It's just happening. So Lucas is obviously going to turn up at some point. But overall, MIBR, I like them. I really do like that team. I know they're not the biggest names, but for me, what we needed to do in the Brazilian scene was move away from all the people that had, like, you know, they were trading on their name. You had to get out from under, you know, the kind of like the greats, if you like. It happens time and time again in Counterstrike scenes and esports scenes in general, where players who have these incredible reputations and incredible accolades and incredible achievements get to dine out on that for the longest period of time. And while that's happening and you go, well, let's sign him for another year and let's sign him for another year, in the background there's a little voice going, shouldn't we develop some talent for the future? Shouldn't we put one or two young players with the greats so we have a constant flow of talent? Wouldn't that be good? And the people who run the teams go, well, we're under no obligation to develop talent. We've got the very best. But they won't always be the best. It's in your interests as well, Mr. Organisation. Well, no, listen, somebody else can do that. One of our rivals can take the risk. And of course, all the rivals don't want to do it either. So you end up with a top-heavy scene of washed-up players demanding massive salaries, and eventually someone has to bite the bullet and pick up 5 players who no one's ever fucking heard of, who aren't good enough to compete at Tier 1, and then the community go, you're fucking shit compared to the great players, even though in actuality, the difference between washed-up version of the greats and new inexperienced youngsters, the gap is actually that small, but in people's mind it's this big because of the fucking all the accolades and all the achievements. It happened in France, it happened in the UK, in Source, probably happened in, you know, your scene too. It happened in your scene too. It's happened in North America. It was happening in North America until the iBuyPower bans. You're welcome. There wouldn't have been no Stewie 2Ks coming through. Happened in Sweden. You know, how many times does it have to happen, right? Yeah, Denmark's the exception. Very clever. Smart ass. But anyway, I like these players, and I wish they'd been developed and nurtured a little bit sooner than they are, but I like MIBR. I think they're a very, very solid, grindy team, and adding a bit of culture and a bit of class and a bit of pedigree and a bit of firepower in the form of Henny, this is going to get 1 thumbs up. It would have got 2, but the problem is that thumb is Lucas coming into the team in the future and the team imploding, and then eventually it'll be like that. But for now, 1 thumb up. Well done. I like it. I just want to talk about this as a sort of broad concept. You might have seen the reports. Boombl4 speaks on talks with G2 falling through. Now, when I saw this, I was like, there you go, it's the proof. It's the proof. It's the proof they don't know what they're fucking doing. Let's be absolutely clear here, right? Let's be clear. I like Boombl4. I like him as a person. I've always liked him. He's a sweet guy. Good kid. Heart's in the right place. I've talked about this before on other streams, but I met him during when he was having that run with Quantum Bellator Fire. I think when they went to, I think it was WinFact or whatever it was, they got wrecked. They had all their money took. Me and DK were helping them try and get that back. Just a really nice, kind-hearted guy, right? And listen, elephant in the room. Cheap jokes. Don't do them. They're not cool. Elephant in the room. he's fallen into temptations that are there for a lot of people, especially people that might not have the highest levels of self-esteem. And I don't know the guy. Sorry, Winstrike, not WinFact. WinFact is the Estonian or Finnish organisation. Winstrike's the Russian one. Don't want to get them mixed up. Full apologies. Don't sue me, WinFact. He's fallen into some of the temptations that if you don't have the highest levels of self-esteem, you're going to fall into. You know, and we all know about his wife and the shit she did. And also, you know, listen, give me something for the pain, give me something for the blues. Yeah, he's been having a snort on the side as well. And look, he's not, people keep getting it wrong. He's doing cocaine, they're saying. It's not, it was methadone. And methadone makes you feel unbelievably good and unbelievably happy. It's an upper in the purest sense. You know, it's like when you do ecstasy and you get all blissed out. It's like that, right? That's the closest analogy to it. It's not like cocaine in any way, shape, or form. In fact, like, listen, if you ever want to just know the fundamental difference between the two drugs in layman's terms, right? Fucking cocaine makes you love yourself. Molly makes you love everyone else. You see, you feel so good and so connected, and methadone was sort of like that. So obviously people are going to fucking, you know, if you're not happy, if you're having a tough time and you're not feeling great and your marriage is going to shit, that stuff's tailor-made for your needs, unfortunately. So I don't judge him. I don't judge him on the fucking drug taking, and no one else should. It's none of your fucking business. It should never have been public knowledge in the first place. It was only public knowledge because he was betrayed. His wife's absolutely fucking insane and has said unbelievable shit and even photoshopped a dick pic that wasn't even fucking real and leaked it. First time I've ever seen fake revenge porn used against somebody. Now, it's a real shame for him that he's had it all dragged out, and unfortunately, it's ended his career in Russia, as far as I can tell. Remember, she also accused him of being a closet homosexual in a country that has, to be generous, some strange attitudes towards homosexuality. He's had as tough a time as anybody I've seen in you know, esports when it comes to like reputation destroying in the public domain and cancellation attempts. And that's why he has Johnny Depp as his profile pic on his Steam page. All of that said, I hope people know I'm sympathetic to the guy, right? But first of all, as an IGL, it's appropriate that Zeus is on the page. Because as shit a player as Zeus was, he does permanently live in his shadow, doesn't he? Like, you know, he was picked by him, was going to be, like, developed by him as a talent. That never really got to happen. And honestly, I think playing on the team he is, with Blade as a coach behind him, I think his IGL credentials are always going to be suspect. He needs to be on another team. Or, you know, he needed to win a tournament where Blade wasn't there. That was the only way he was ever going to prove himself. So I saw some Boombl4 fans have been going like, oh, but surely the fact they're not winning now that they've got some Die Young in the thing. No, they're betting in a new player. It's completely different. And by the way, they're still getting a fucking finals. If anything, that's actually a marker in the other column for me. So the problem with this is Boombl4 never got a chance to prove himself legitimately. He went from being in a decent team and not IGL and then being picked to IGL, one of the best teams in the world. Then when they get a run of sustained success, it's all predicated on Blade switching up the coaching, absolutely record best form from Simple, and them cutting Flamey, and then finding Bit, who, as I keep saying, I know everyone's talking about Ziwu in the rookie year. Like, yeah, I don't even know. I might, like, for me, I'll argue for Bit all the time. I've always got a preference for riflers, by the way. That's just me. I think if you get it done with a rifle over an AWP, I've got more respect for you. Like, if you can put up AWP numbers and be a tearaway, a headshot machine with a rifle, I always like it more than if you're an AWP, honestly. But yeah, whatever. That's just me, my personal biases. So, I don't think he's a great IGL. Or rather, there's nothing to prove he is. And I don't think he's in demand as an IGL. I really don't. And it's got nothing to do with Sniffgate, and it's got nothing to do with Wifegate. It's got nothing to do with any of that bullshit, right? It's just there's no evidence. You're taking a risk. And so if he had these talks with G2, right, that would just say to me, you are literally rolling the dice. You're just trying any old shit at that point. So I was like, fucking hell, Carlos is really letting this get off the rails, you know? Like, if you're talking to Boombl4 as a potential IGL and it doesn't work out and you're getting turned down, what does that say about the G2 project as a whole? Now, I'll also add, would I take him over HooXi? Yeah. Yeah, probably would, actually. Even with a language barrier. Like, I'm just not sold on the HooXi move whatsoever. But it's irrelevant, because my read on it is this move didn't even happen. And let me just... I actually retweeted it. Spoiler, you can follow me on Twitter and see all this stuff. Oh, has he deleted the tweet? He has. Carlos basically did a tweet saying, you know, like, what the fuck are you... What the fuck are you taking, my man? And obviously, I think he's probably deleted it because he's realised... There was a video of him taking drugs, so probably not the best thing to say. But anyway, the story from behind the scenes goes like this. There were never any really formal talks for him to be in the IGL. Like, Boombl4 had just reached out to, like, Munizzi, and then Munizzi had said, it's okay to talk to Carlos about it. And Carlos said, look, if you were to come to G2, you would have to do this, you have to do this. Language barrier is a factor. It was never a serious contract negotiation whatsoever. He was never in for it. And the thing that pisses me off is, remember, this was leaked by all the usual, like, CIS clout chaser fucking insiders that just tweet, like, 1 truth and 4 lies every week. And everyone goes, my God, their record's amazing. That was spread for ages in the build-up, and it's like, it was never a real thing. It was never a plausible or viable thing. Never. So, just leave that. Also, he did apparently release the song, which I haven't listened to. I can't do it because I really struggle with cringe, and I'm scared it's going to be cringe. But apparently, he's released a hip hop song that you can find because he said he wants to be a rapper. He wants to be a rapper. He wants to divide his time by being an IGL and a rapper. Which, by the way, Boombl4 potentially getting a chance to be an IGL again in a team. You know, all right, 2 thumbs up. Boombl4 having a rap career. Nerf this fart noise. X-tatic have imploded, and the first person to leave was Bird from Sky. Now, this prompted a lot of conspiracy theories about what was going on, and that some people were saying that Bird from Sky, or Radar from Sky, or as he's affectionately known over on Vax Sucks, with those mega minds. You know, a lot of people have been accusing this team of cheating because they've had some really good online results, with some good results in, like, you know, Pinnacle Cups and stuff like that. For me, again, when I saw the Akuma team in that RMR, you know my views. They're on my YouTube channel. You can go watch the videos. You can play back the tape. I even said you shouldn't accuse Flusher of cheating. If you accuse Sabrosa of cheating based on these clips, you have to accuse lots of players. We should act with caution. People's reputations are being destroyed. Akuma fucking cheated. Fuck him. Fuck them. It's the most obvious shit I've ever seen in my life. I don't give a fuck. Everybody fucking knows it. They're absolute garbage. They're a bunch of match fixes to fucking begin with. They've been literally kicked off every fucking sports book in fucking the CIS region for the bullshit they pull. Fuck them all. Fuck them all. They're absolute shite. And they were so bad at doing it. When you watch the video of them in that RMR and they're going... looking up at this weird thing flashing at them, clearly a fucking clean feed of the stream so they can stream snipe against their opponents, right? You never see any of that with X-tatic. There's nothing like that. There's no evidence. There's not even any, like, dodgy plays. There's, like, a few godlike reads and some stacks, but that's about it, like. And everybody gets those in games. Everybody gets those in games, especially the way a lot of teams further down the pecking order, a lot of them do play those, like, 50-50 must-win rounds. They might do a stack. And remember, if you walk into a stack and you lose, it feels oppressive and weird for you, but it literally is. It's a coin toss. It's like a roll of a dice. You know, you win some, you lose some. So I never paid any attention to that noise. I think they were just a team that was just punching above its weight with some decent-ish players. And I don't know if this Bird from Sky guy's actually a legit IGL, but you know what? HooXi's highly rated. You could do worse. You know who he looks like? Peter Lorre, I think. There's a bit of it in him. Legendary actor, by the way. That's something for the boomers. But yeah, like, so X-tatic imploding, obviously, as well, as we'll get to. One of these things got airlifted into another team, a bigger team. Yeah, here we are. This is a big one. ENCE. Used to be easy for ENCE back in the day. Hasn't been easy for ENCE for a while. And so they've decided they're going to switch it up in the AWP department. Now, Hades Hades had a real good purple patch when this team was first assembled. And as you know, ENCE have done reasonably well, but they've been just a bit lacking getting over it. Obviously, it's in the Na'Vi era, it's in the FaZe era, but, you know, they've really struggled with, like, certain teams. When it comes to the really, really big boys, they've not been quite there. But they've been in some finals. You know, they've done all right. They had a little sag in the middle, but in general, I feel like they've done some good work. Obviously, they've now got real problems because Hades they're dropping Hades and they are going for Sun Pius or Pius from Movistar Riders, the Spanish AWPer. And listen, I really like this move. I said for a while now, like, that after they dropped Smooya and Movistar Riders went all Spanish, and they brought in Sun and some other guy I can't remember, but the bottom line was, I was like, listen, Smooya was smurfing at that level, and it was going to be a bad move. It turned out to be a really good move. They gained an extra step, and Movistar going into, like, the last phase of big tournaments before the player breaks, they're like one of the most improved teams in World Counterstrike, like, unquestionably. They mixed it up with the big boys. They've shown like a really good level. But here's the thing. In this meta, having an AWPer that hits your shots, having a deadly AWPer that can lock down the site by themselves, or at least cause enough mayhem to buy time for rotates and stuff on the CT side, it's just worth its fucking weight in gold. And it sucks for Movistar Riders to lose, like, inarguably their best player. He is so good. But this is great business for ENCE. I mean, I don't know how much this entire move has cost, but I'm just going to wager, based on what I know about Spanish esports organizations, this is going to be cheap as chips and a glass of sangria in the sun. It is a fucking excellent move. I feel super sorry for Hades. I don't know what's next for him, but he has flattened. He has plateaued. It's not there, and ENCE need that firepower right now because obviously Spinks is out of the door, supposedly. There's a lot of chatter. Spinks is going to Vitality. He's definitely going to leave, and so that's a huge loss for them should that move come to fruition. And so you're going to have to upgrade the pieces. Going to be hard to find a replacement for Spinks, who's going to be top 10 player this year when the HLTV top 20s come out. I think so. I think he'll be in there. But, you know, Sun Pius is a fucking upgrade for Hades. And so I'm going to give this move a solid thumbs up. It would be 2, but let's just see how the language thing plays out as well. Remember, ENCE are an English-speaking team. Maybe there'll be some communication problems. I highly doubt it. It's a 1 with a tentative 2, but really like it. Underwhelming is the word for this one. Fnatic, they've rounded out their lineup. I was there in that meeting with that insane fan that got... by the way, I'm writing an article about all of that fan stuff now, because obviously we're going to be going into the events again. You cannot have deranged fans who call themselves ultras being pandered to by all the organizations to the point where they feel that they can just invade the personal space of players and break in, like, secret parts of, venues so they can get autographs, and absolutely no fucking security. This is what we call a recipe for disaster. So I'm going to be writing an article about that. But the reality is, I had to go and sit in that fucking god-awful meeting just out of morbid curiosity to see what they were going to do. I recorded it. I am going to probably make a video of it, even though it's just going to be like, 6 months out of date by the time I do it. But whatever, it's funny content. But in that meeting, Fnatic pledged, we know our CSGO team's unacceptable right now. We are going to completely rebuild, and we're going to do great things, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And I just don't know. Like, I just don't know if that's actually legit, because even Khan said it. And when it comes from Khan, right, over Sam Matthews, it's Khan. He goes like, listen, I am Fnatic Counterstrike. I played. I rep this team. Like, I want us to win. It hurts when we don't. And I believe him, right? But, like, this lineup for me is, I don't know. Let me explain. Obviously, Crims, the bedrock. He's the last man standing from the great Fnatic lineup. And I really, really like him. And his longevity and consistency. It's like really weird because when we talk about like GOAT players in CS, unfortunately, like there's not really a lot of like talk about, you know, what we really need to do is like sort of have clearer defined ways to talk about roles and skills, because I'd really like it if you could sort of recognize it. Like Crims is one of the most like ridiculous, like, you know, talented, you know, just in terms of longevity, but also at like his peak, he was unplayable. And, you know, he's never going to get in those conversations just because of how it is, right? I really like Crims, but I'll just say you have to understand that by keeping him on this lineup and essentially getting rid of other players because he says it's like it's him or me, you are essentially playing end stage Jenga. That's what you're doing. Almost all of the bricks have been moved, you know, it's all been restacked on the top. There's only a few ones you can really tapper. And remember, now Fnatic have put their finger and thumb around this particular Crim-shaped brick just to hammer this fucking analogy until the end of time. And they are going to have to pull it out. And I just wonder, all good things come to an end. 28, playing in a lineup now where it's very disparate, not a lot of players he knows or has any particular relationship with. Yeah, it could go wrong that they've kind of like, you know, they've doubled down and stuck with their man. Mezzi, feel super sorry for this kid. All the people that banged on Henry G and said he was terrible as a GM and all of that. Remember when he signed Mezzi and everyone was underwhelmed and he said, trust me, I've got the magic eye. This kid's going to be mustard. And to prove how confident I am, I'm not going to fuck him on his contract. I'm going to pay him real money. I'm not going to disrespect him or his ability. And then they brought him in. Mezzi was on the fucking money. Like Henry, absolutely. Bringing Mezzi into tier 1 Counterstrike ultimately will be like sort of Henry G's legacy from that GM period. Such a good player, still got development potential. And the reality is, like, he can't catch a break. He was in a dysfunctional Cloud9 that Cloud9 cut because secretly in the back of Jack's mind, he wanted the Russians and Groove probably all along, just couldn't afford them. And then now gets Alex, okay, I've got a wingman, gets into Fnatic, that goes tits up, no one wants to play with Smoothie, now Alex is out, he's supposedly like massively devalued. Alex also, by the way, that guy can't catch a fucking break. I don't even know if you're ever going to see him again. He might have to go into the MSL forest and somehow build a team at a time when this boomer shoot is coming to the end of its life cycle and no one wants to spend money because we're about to go into a recession. You know, you might not see Alex again, real talk. Anyway, whatever. So Mezzi has been super unlucky, like in my opinion, and he's really good value, and I really like him being on this team. He's going to do the business. Nico does, and Roy, obviously coming over from the Atom Smashed Copenhagen Flames team. I mean, Nikodos is fantastic. He gave me some cringe. This is unrelated to whether or not I think he's a good team, but a good teammate. But I'm just going to say it. He gave me some cringe the other day, a big dose of cringe. Hit me right in the pancreas, like, no, with the cringe. Because he'd been trying to get verified for all that time, and then Fnatic leveraged all of their connections at esports Twitter, and their esports media manager did, and they were getting him and hammering it and getting him, and then eventually he got verified, and then he de-verified himself and tweeted out, I've decided to unverify myself because it changed my personality. I got an ego off being verified and was arguing, like, oh, the cringe, like, fuck me. Like, you do realize that some fucking person who's making less money than you had to actually fucking do a ton of admin to put a blue tick next to your name that you said you wanted, and then once you get rid of it, by the way, on Twitter, you don't get it back. You don't get it back unless you've been hacked or you made an honest fucking mistake. Just pathetic, like, just pathetic. It hasn't changed your personality. You're just addicted to social media and attention, my son. By the way, if you're a pro player, not a good fucking sign for me. I'd knuckle down and worry less about that stuff. But anyway, as a player, fantastic, like really, really good talent. I was very excited when they picked him up for Fnatic because I think he's slept on AWPer and I think he's gonna do business. So far it's all right, you know. And then Roy, Again, the problem with Roy is, you know, like we all know what a fantastic entry fragger he is. Much like what I was saying about Crims, I worry about whether or not that was a flash in the pan. I worry whether or not that was the last of the summer wine. Can he replicate it? Can he still play as good as he did when Copenhagen Flames were as good as they were? I don't know. That for me is a bit. This is where the shaky hands come in. This is where the Ozzy Osbournes start happening. Then this move, Fascia from X-tatic. No. Big no. This, unfortunately for me, is like, it's getting to the end of the player break and we need 5. And we need it to be cheap. That's what that move says to me. I don't understand, again, you know, this isn't like some guy people talk about. This isn't a guy players talk about in circles going, you know what, man, you know who slept on? That Fascia guy. You know, or you know what would be really good in a year or two? If you get Fascia and you do... No one's saying any of this stuff. He's just a journeyman player. He's played on some teams, playing on some mean teams. Solid, you know, like... solid player, not like terrible or anything, not like horrific, but just been trundling along in the background. 26 years old, you know, the rating looks good, but then when you go and look at the teams he's playing and the level he's at, it's actually underwhelming. And for me, what you've got here is Fnatic have basically banked on Crims still being Crims. He might be. Banked on Mezzi still being Mezzi. He will be. Banked on Nikodos still being Nikodos. He will be. But now, suddenly, when we get to the Roy and the Fashion, there's a doubt about Crims. You know, it actually could be a super underwhelming team. And so I just don't know. The Fashion move says to me, let's just get 5 on the board and see what happens. We can't afford anyone else. And that's just not what I associate with the Fnatic name. Fnatic, remember, of course, synonymous with excellence in 1.6, synonymous with excellence in CSGO. And for those who remember it, synonymous with excellent in Source. They had the original Dutch lineup, which was the first dynastic team in Counterstrike Source when we truly went international. And so every version of Counterstrike, I even think they had a Condition Zero team, I seem to remember back from the Z-board days. You know, and I just feel like this doesn't bode well. I see people in the chat saying, yeah, you could have kept Heap, you know, and brought Heap in or something, like maybe. I don't know. I'm not saying, I'm not even going to propose a name of who I would have had as a fifth, but I don't know. For me, meh. There must have been better. There's a ton of really good players in free agency right now. And I see Army Portent CS says Fascia will be the best rifler on Fnatic. Mark my words. If that turns out to be true, mate, I actually think that would just bode really badly for Fnatic if that was true. But we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. But yes, for me, on the surface of it, Fnatic were headed in the right direction. You know, I like Nikodos. I'm ambivalent about Roy. They've got Mezzi, they've got Crims. But the Fascia move as a finisher is a one thumb down for me. Getting to the end of my sweet, sweet Rostermania stream. NBK and Masuta. Masuta, remember, not joining EG, although they were going to get him. It was all done, it was all agreed, and then they were like, oh, wait, Europe? Yeah. Again, just signs of disarray over there. But they're going to be joining Falcons, if you're American, or Falcons, if you don't butcher English. So this is the Falcons lineup that it's going to be. You have HooXi, remember him? You've got Maka, you've got Python. That picture always blows my mind, by the way. Every time I see it, I'm like, the curtains and the forehead, I don't know. But great job. Masuta and NBK. So, few things to note about this lineup is that, you know, Python and Maka have been doing really, really well. HooXi's in the mix and he's doing his thing. Masuta's going to be coming in. I imagine going to have a bit more of an advanced role in this than what he was used to in Vitality. But NBK, I think they were saying that he was going to be the guy that was like going to lead the team. So it's NBK as IGL. Don't know if that's true, but I think that's what I heard. And I don't know, because if you look at, like, hang on, let me just bring this up. If you look at that lineup and then you assess all of those individual parts and NBK maybe being the IGL, who again love Nathan, you know, known him many years. But as I've said down the years, I just don't know if he's ever going to be doing it as an IGL. I just don't know if he's got that. It might not be he's a pure IGL in that sense, and maybe he's just there to develop the players and give experience. But the problem is, I look at that lineup and I go, all right, it's not bad. But then I look at Heat and remember what they've just done in the transfer market. You know, I think there's talk about Jax joining there, and you look at that and you think about Jocko and you think about Afro, and you know, and it's like, yeah, I actually think Heat's just like a much better lineup. I just feel that's like gonna be the strongest lineup in the French scene, you know, and obviously as I said, I think Jax to go into that as well. So yeah, it's shaky hands, but not good enough to get them into tier 1. But that's it. That's pretty much my thoughts on Rostermania.